Good evening, hello, and welcome to Cut Price Racing Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross series presented by Oceanic Sim Racing. Tonight we head to Daytona, short configuration of the Rallycross circuit. Jay Kennedy and Cameron Nance to bring you all the action of tonight's racing. Cam, a pretty small field, but that usually means that the cream rises to the top a lot quicker, which means it will have some nice, tight, close racing.
Yeah, absolutely. A small field is nothing to bat an eye about. It may be only a few numbers, but in the end, it always provides good racing, and it's going to be very, very good from what we can tell tonight.
Starting off, there's three splits to start off with, three heats to start off with, five in the one that we will broadcast, the split number one, and then there are two other splits with four drivers in each. And from there, we will take a few straight into the final, straight out of the first round of heats, which is the first time we've done that in this series. And then the rest of the drivers that did not make it into the final straight away, we'll go straight into an LCQ. So we're going to go straight from first round of heats straight into the final LCQ, which will make it really, really interesting. Guys have usually got a couple of races to find their bearings and find their feet. Going to be pretty close with how quick the turnaround is into the LCQ.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be vital that guys make sure they finish the races rather than take too many risks, because you really don't want to end up in the LCQ, especially with the competition we've got tonight.
Just waiting for pictures to come through from the circuit, but before we do that, I actually have the top 10 qualifiers in order on screen. So Mitchell McLeod was fastest from Bob King. They're two guys that have fought it out a couple of times in this series already. Scott Larnack, another driver that is very quick, as well as Bo Albert, then Hayden Dodman, Reese Gardner, Simon Black, Corey Preston, Ashley Lear, and Daniel Gow, the top 10 qualifiers of the only 13 drivers that have attempted tonight. So, as I said, a little bit disappointing with the numbers, but the quality of the field usually shines when we have these smaller fields. I only got about a minute or two before we get the green flag for this first heat as well. So it's going to be very, very quick turnarounds the whole way through the night. Actually have the first cars out on track in this session. So we've got 5 cars, as we said: Mitchell McLeod, Reese Gardner, Simon Black, Michael Crooks, and Jeffrey Erskine. Erskine? I'm not sure how to say Jeffrey's surname. Wouldn't be Vouts in line if we didn't butcher it though, Cam, would it?
No, it is a bit of a tongue twister, that one.
We've seen throughout this series, obviously we had a little break last week due to some issues the admins were having, so that's why we weren't live last week, but really shaping up to be an interesting round this week. It's a circuit that, whilst Daytona's been used quite a lot, this configuration isn't used all that much in the Rallycross scene. Most of the times that we've been at Daytona, it's been on the long configuration. This short configuration is very, very technical.
Yeah, it's very short, but it's very, very technical, especially that end to the lap. You really can't afford to get that wrong, as it usually ends in tears and a bit of a broken car most of the time.
So fingers crossed we don't see too many major incidents tonight, as checkered flag comes out for the warm-up, and we're straight into race number one. As we said, Mitchell McLeod was the fastest qualifier. Reese Gardner will start from second. Simon Black in third. And then we've got Michael Crooks and Jeffrey Erskine. I'm going to say Erskine. We'll go with that. It'll be wrong however we say it. Whatever way we try to say it, it will be wrong. But we're ready to go already. We're just waiting for McLeod to jump onto the grid, and we will get Heat number 1 for the first round of races underway. We are on the grid. Oh, McLeod's jumped though. McLeod has jumped from pole. Be interesting to see if he gets a penalty for that. It's usually about 10 or 12 second penalty. But a fairly even jump at the front. Oh, bit of argy-bargy between McLeod and Gardner. And Gardner gets through. Simon Black slots into second. Of course, 2 jokers as always in this series. Oh, big moment for Gardner. The McLeod now checks out a little from Gardner and Black. Gardner and Black are going to be really interesting how they're how close they are right now. Of course, 2 jokers, they can take them anytime after that first lap. McLeod does, and looks like he'll be the only one to do that. We've seen that pretty much all season. First lap, the leader will take the joker to try and get a bit of a gap.
Bearing in mind, he's also got that possible time penalty, so he'll be wanting to try and gain as much time as he possibly can so it doesn't affect him too badly.
See if Simon Black can break away a little bit from Michael Crooks. He's giving him a lot of pressure behind, and that's enabling Gardner just to check out a tiny little bit. Oh, another big moment for Black, and now he's really under pressure from Michael Crooks. Oh, Simon Black almost thought about taking the joker there to try and get himself out of trouble, and side by side go Crooks and Black. You don't really want to be on this outside, and big contact between the 2 cars, but Crooks gets through. Now into third.
Lucky to not actually get spun there, so bit of argy-bargy in this race at the moment, but it's looking like everybody's made it for the most part.
Yep, McLeod out to a nearly 7-second lead, but he has taken both of his jokers already. Reese Gardner has taken his first of 2 jokers, so also it looks like Simon Black, no, that's Jeffrey Erskine taking his first joker, and Black almost into the fence at the start or at the finish line. That was very close. You guys starting to push the limits a little bit of the cars out there right now, and trying to see how far they can push it. They know that there is an extra chance and a second chance coming up, being an LCQ. But LCQs have been tough to get through. We've seen throughout this series that getting yourself into an LCQ can really be detrimental to the rest of the night progressing through.
Yeah, absolutely, and nothing worse than ending up in that LCQ. So it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to have to work for it at the end of the night and who actually makes it through.
Good to see Reese Gardner out a bit more at the pointy end from what we've seen him a couple of times in the series. Had a fair bit of bad luck in this series throughout, and good to see him now fighting up towards the front, as we're just seeing Jeffrey Erskine almost loop it at the hairpin. And Simon Black's dropped off the pace astronomically. He's way back, almost 30 seconds behind the car of McLeod at the front. McLeod crosses the line to finish 6th. We've got 4 to go in this first heat for CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross. Crooks still has to take his 2 jokers. I think the gap between Crooks and Gardner might be too large. It's around about 2-second advantage, that joker at this circuit. So I don't know if there's enough for Crooks to come back at Gardner, but if McLeod's got a penalty hanging over his head, he might nearly have done enough to clear that. If it's 10-second penalty, he would still win the race.
Yeah, and Gardner's still got that extra joker lap at the moment, still yet to be done, so going to be very close, I reckon.
Gap at the moment, about 12 seconds between first and second. Last lap around, McLeod, a 34.3 versus everyone else in the field into the 35s, a high 35s and low 36s. So incredible pace from McLeod in comparison to the entire rest of the field. He's just pulled another second on Gardner in the first half of the lap. And he's now actually right on the tail of Simon Black and possibly will lap Simon Black here.
Yeah, well, and I've actually just seen Reese Gardner just clip the pit wall coming through the finish of the lap. So maybe a little bit of damage now to that car, but if he hasn't got any, he'll be very, very lucky to have gotten away with that.
Brooks has just taken the first of his 2 jokers as well, but that gap is around about 6 seconds, and both Gardner and Crook still have 1 joker to go. McLeod crosses the line to finish 9 and start the 10th and final lap of this race. And as it is right now, regardless of a penalty, unless it's a massive one as Erkston is off the track and Black gets through and gains a position, as long as that penalty isn't 15 seconds, he may have done enough. If it's 15 seconds, it is going to be very, very tight between McLeod and Gardner coming up to the finish line. As we're seeing Erkstein around in the background, but McLeod will come through. He'll pick up the win. What will the gap be between McLeod and Gardner, though? And was there a penalty? The rest of the field is settled. Gardner to take this joker. If it's 15-second penalty, it's going to be very, very tight as Gardner comes out. A little bit of contact gap between McLeod and Gardner. 14.7 seconds. Was there a penalty? It looks like no. We've hyped that up for nothing. Oh, there was. Yes. That just changed right at the last second. Reese Gardner is the winner. So it was a, what, 18-second penalty for McLeod for jumping the start. Gardner wins by 3 seconds. Michael Crooks in second, then Simon Black and Jeffrey Erkston in 4th and 5th. But we sort of had a bit of a suspicion, and it caught me off guard there with how late that it updated with that penalty.
Yeah, it was actually quite late there, but that's definitely goes to show that even just a small little mistake can cost you a lot.
Amazing how much that mistake has cost McLeod. So Heat 1, Round 1 is done. We'll get some results up very, very soon. But big couple of weeks coming up here on V8 Online, Cam, with basically all different sorts of racing coming up. We've got official V8 Supercars Monday. Tuesday, we've got the Sprint Car Summer Series, which you did very, very well and get yourself top 10 from coming through the C main on Tuesday night. OSC as well, and then Rallycross, and then the weekend, next weekend, we've got Oceanic Endurance Championship and the Majors Daytona 500, both next Sunday. But a massive few weeks coming up here on V8 Online with some really cool sim racing to come.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty coming up in the next few weeks, so it's going to be an absolute awesome and exciting time for sim racing.
Now, speaking of the Sprint Car Summer Series, how did you find the format and getting your way through, especially coming through the C main? How did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Obviously, the invert stuff was a little bit of a confusing bit to the night, but the rest of the time it was actually a lot better than what previously has been done with the whole manual system. So it's good to see that iRacing has finally actually put in a system to allow for the large fields and using heat racing, as it just makes this so much quicker night, so you don't end up at finishing
Midnight.
at like 2 a.m.
2 a.m. for you, yeah. So it was actually quite a good surprise to finish just after 45 minutes of racing. We did nearly 90 laps of racing, and we had it all wrapped up in 45 minutes. So it was really cool. So if you didn't get to watch it on Tuesday night, make sure you go back and watch it, or tune in this coming Tuesday and every Tuesday in February here on V8 Online for the Down Under Graphics Sprint Car Summer Series. But what we might do while we wait for the next round of races to come up, we will take a very, very quick break, and we will be back with some more CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross action in just a few moments.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Welcome back to CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross Series. We are back at Daytona once again. Short configuration this time though, so quicker, faster, tighter racing. We just saw the first heat in the first round, but the other two, there was another two heats going on at exactly the same time. They were won by Bob King and Bo Albert in the two heats that were not broadcast. Matt Hartley in second in the first heat, along with Hayden Dodman and Daniel Gow. Bo Albert, Ashley, Scott Larnack and Corey Preston were the finishing positions in the third heat race. We now get down to 2 rounds of, or 2 more heats, I should say, and 1 LCQ. We're going to tweak the format slightly just to give everyone a little bit of extra racing, which is always good to see. Jay Kennedy and Cameron Dance here in the booth to get you through the whole way through. We've decided to jump in. We normally just go number 1 the whole way through, but we've decided to go round 2 heat 2 Cam, and that's actually going to offer us a pretty interesting battle.
Yeah, it will be. It's got some fairly decent drivers in it, so it's going to be quite the interesting race to see who actually comes out on top in it.
You just see Scott Larnack just smash into the wall at the start line. There's only 4 cars in this heat. These are all top finishing drivers from that last round of heat. So the first and second cars and, sorry, first, second and some third place cars have all made it through to the next round of standard heats. And then we have a few drivers into an LCQ at the same time as this. So we've got Albert, Larnack, Gardner and Lear in this heat, which should make the racing very, very interesting because they're all fairly evenly matched on pace. They're all very, very close in their qualifying times as well. Yeah,
definitely. So going to be very interesting to see what sort of race this turns into, as I just see Reese Gunn absolutely nail the tyre bundle through the chicane.
We got that on camera too, so well done Reese. Hopefully that'll appear on his video in the next few days. But Albert will start from pole with Reese Gardner in second. So 2 race winners from the last round of heats. Now we've got Ashley and Scott Larnack to bring in the 4-car field for this race. 4 cars means tight, close, hard, bumper-to-bumper action for what is 10 laps. And actually noticing Ashley having some issues and he's not on the grid. We are away. 3 cars battle it into turn 1.
Very good jump from Bo and Larnack there.
Yeah, great jump. And Lear's now just jumped in and got away. So he's got a lot of work to do come back through the field. Albert leads. Larnack second and Gardner almost into the fence at the jump and almost rolling it. Coming up over the jump. Lear's got a lot of work to do to come back through the field with those internet issues or glitching issues where he didn't get the grid. They come down the straight. I'm going to guess Albert will take his joker. No, he doesn't, but Larnack will. So I reckon we'll see a change of position here. Larnack will take the race lead. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out from here because it's the first time we have not seen a leader take the joker on the first lap. I'm wondering if they're just playing a little bit teammate battles, but they've got to watch out for Gardner behind.
Yeah, I reckon they'll probably leave it till the last lap, with it being obviously they know each other and they know their pace difference, so they'll probably leave it till the last lap. But it'll be interesting to see what Reese has got for these two.
So Larnack.
Reese has had an off over the jump by the looks of it.
He has too. He's lost a lot of ground, and Lear is well and truly there. Oh! Reese is upside down. I think he's missed that altogether handbrake on the asphalt to try and get some traction, and
that's
probably
a new one.
Given a little bit too much handbrake. That's a very, very different accident from what we have seen previous.
Yeah, it just looks like he's pulled the handbrake and it's just all of a sudden gripped up on him, and I don't think anyone expected it to happen.
Yeah, that's a bizarre one. We'll get a CPR replay of that. Just clip the tyre bundle coming up to the jump. Almost backwards over the jump. He's ended up well and truly off the track. He almost may have been looking at clearing a slowdown as it's happened, and just got him way too hot. Used the handbrake to try and get it around, and doesn't like the handbrake and being turned on the asphalt too much. It's not too happy about that, and Gardner's actually driven it into the pits. He is race done, but the battle at the front is well and truly on between teammates. Now, they've still got to be careful, even though they're teammates. They battle too hard.
Turned him.
They might end up taking each other out, and we could see a Bradbury moment. Albert is now through into the lead. Larnack is about 4 seconds off the pace now.
Yeah, that was... I don't think Larnack expected Bo to just absolutely send it in there, but Bo now in the lead, and Larnack's probably got a little bit of damage after that contact as well, so he'll be on the back foot a little bit here.
And Lear's lapping faster than these two at the same time, so we've got to be very, very careful behind. Lear has done one Joker. She's coming off a very, very good result in the majors over the weekend, picking up a second in the Audi class, in the GTO class. Albert now halfway through this race, leads by 4.5 seconds. It's got to be very, very controlled from here, and he should be okay. That lap then was a 34.4, lapping almost identical lap times to the other two cars on track, with 34.5s from both Larnack and Lear. So that gap's going to stay very stable for now. But one little clip of the tyre bundles changes absolutely everything in this race. It's amazing how much they do dictate this race, those very, very heavy tyre bundles. And Larnack's had another mistake, because he's just done a 36. And Lear is within 6 seconds now.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's made a mistake, but I think it might have been around the back section of the circuit, but it doesn't look like it was anything major, more or less.
Maybe just missed a gear or locked the brakes, or yeah, something strange, because now that he's back going again, pace absolutely identical to Albert with 34.5s. Lear also doing... He's just done a 33 with his second Joker that time, but the lap previous he did identical time to Albert and Larnack. So gap's not really changing at all. It's just staying very, very stable for now. But Albert will cross the line, get the white flag this time. It is the last lap of the race. Still has a Joker to go, so he will take it on the last one. But as it is right now, he is well and truly out in front, and be very, very hard pressed to lose this one from here.
Yeah, he's driven quite well in this race, but I don't really want to commentate as Chris, but with that Joker lap left, it's going to be, hopefully he doesn't screw it up too bad. It's looking like it's going to be fairly clean, so he's made it through.
Just don't cross that blend line and you'll be fine. And he comes through, picks up the win, and Larnack also to take a Joker on the last lap does so and finishes the race in second. So an ERT 1-2 in this one. Ashley comes across the line. He'll finish in third, with Reese Gardner being our last place car. DNF, unfortunately, for Reese in this one, which is a very unfortunate, because he had decent pace in that first heat. So will be good to see him in the next round of heats, or next round of races, to see how he goes, and hopefully he can move forward through the field and get himself into the final from here. But we'll run through the results. Albert winning by 7 seconds over Larnack, then Ashley and Reese Gardner rounding out the field. We're not far away from the start of V8 Scops as well, Cam. It's going to be a very, very exciting year. I think you're actually going to have a crack at racing in Scops this year.
Yeah, I'm going to at least try to make the race. But yeah, I'm going to have a crack at it and see what happens. I've got a new wheel that'll be, hopefully, should be up and running by then. So it'll be good to see the difference in how much pace I can hopefully match with the rest of the TTL boys.
Amazingly, we are 2 weeks away today from pre-qualifying starting. That is how close we are to Scop starting. It's only 2.5 weeks away from race day. 17 days until round 1 of V8 Scops here on V8 Online. Looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. It's going to be an awesome year. Got Road at Atlanta to start the season off. What do you think about that for a starting track? Damn, I find it one of the best tracks in the V8 Supercar, so I think it should be good, but other people have said opposite. So what are your thoughts on it?
It's an interesting circuit in the V8 because of the character of the track and the way you've got to drive the V8. Obviously, there's a lot of different corners with it being off camber, on camber, a lot of fast corners, but also a lot of slow corners. So you've kind of really got to manhandle the car sort of in a way. I mean, I did do the official race one season. I think it was last season, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, that was quite interesting. So should be a really good round, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a track that you have to compromise in every single part of the setup, and you'd never really have your car set up for a strength. You just minimize all the weaknesses that circuit has, and I think it's a track that always provides very hard-fought, close racing, and some new additions coming for 2018 that are still to be announced as well. But looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. And we know 250 Ks, it's 62 laps for the first race. It's going to be very, very hard to get yourself through that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to be a challenge. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes.
We might take our second to last break of the night here with the CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross, but we will be back very, very soon here on V8 Online with more Rallycross action.
iRacing.com is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all over the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. iRacing's web-based interface allows members to compare stats and test drive any combination of car and track instantly. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 60,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsport organizations like SRO Motorsports Group to deliver virtual races based on the real-life Blancpain GT series. iRacing's Blancpain Endurance Series features team racing, giving members the ability to build a team and participate in races ranging from 3 hours to 24 hours. Additional partners include NASCAR, IMSA, V8 Supercars, IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own 24 hours of Spa, Bathurst 1000, Daytona 500, and many more. iRacing.com, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them four abreast, often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Welcome back to V8s Online's coverage of the CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross series. We are up to the LCQ, and it's another stacked field in this one. Jay Kennedy and Cameron Dance to bring you commentary and action from this race, which will be coming up in just a few moments. Cam, it's been some pretty hard fought racing. It hasn't been as tight as we'd expected, but mistakes are being amplified in this with how close it is and how tough it is to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been very, very close so far tonight, and I can't see it changing in this LCQ.
We've got Reese Gardner, Daniel Gow, Michael Crook, Simon Black. We'll also have Ashley Lear in here as well. I think it will be a 5-car field from memory, looking at the results from the last round of races. And at the moment it's just a warm-up session as the cars get into the session. They've got a couple of minutes, and then there will be a qualifying run again for them tonight. In this one, as always, we do an extra qualifying session in the LCQ and in the final. But making it through to the main after the last lot of races actually looks as if Lear has got through as well. Actually, yep, top 3 from each of the last races have got through, and 1 spot in this LCQ. So a little bit of a different format from what we've had, but that makes the crucial top spot even more exciting. But McLeod, King, Hartley, Albert, Larnack, Lear, Simon Black, Daniel Gow, and Corey Preston. Actually, sorry. Simon Black is into this one. Daniel Gow is into this one from LCQ, which was Preston and Erskine out. That sounds a bit more like it. That makes a lot more sense, Cam.
Yes, it does.
So, I think it's top 2 will get through. Yep, top 2 go through to the final. Can confirm that. So, it's going to be a very, very tight race. Black's done it the hard way going through the first round LCQ and winning that. Daniel Gow also in the last round LCQs. But Gardner, unfortunately, disappointing way to end that last heat. This is going to make it very, very tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be all on to make sure you make it through into the feature.
We'll have an 8-car main event tonight. So a little bit of a smaller field, which, as we said, the smaller fields have shown throughout many, many series that the racing is actually more hard fought and a lot cleaner and tighter. So it should prove once again tonight that this tight, close field will bring some very, very impressive racing as they get the checkered flag for the warm-up session. Qualifying now on. See who can get to the top of the timesheets. Gardner looks like he's the first out on track to do a lap. We know lap times in qualifying were around mid-33s, but the track was very worn in by there. So we're probably looking about a mid-34 to be good enough for pole. If you can do quicker than that, you're going to be right at the top of the timesheet. So we'll see if any of these guys can get into the magic 33s, but Gardner will be the first one to come across the line and see what time he can do. Oh, and he's looped it, but he has done a low 34. Simon Black with a 34.4. Brooks come across the line with a 35.1. Of course, they get 3 laps here, so even though Gardner did spin coming across the finish line, he will still be able to get back out there for one more crack. We'll see if Simon Black can improve. Target time 34.3, not going to improve. 34.8, he's got to go again though, because no more chances. So does Gardner. See what he can do. The Fusion Sim Racing Fiesta. Seeing off camera as well, Michael Crooks is around, so he is done. He's actually, no, he's got one more crack, but here comes Gardner. Will he improve? No, 34.7. Will Black improve? He does on his second lap, but not enough to improve overall. We've got Crooks with one more attempt, but I don't think upside down is going to be quicker.
No, that's not quite the most ideal way of driving a car.
Not,
also to note that Daniel Gow hasn't actually entered the server yet.
Yeah, so this is going to make it very, very tight between our 3 cars to get into the final. Hopefully you can get in with only... Actually showing we've got 7 minutes left, so hopefully he does make it in. Hopefully we won't have 7 minutes until the LCQ. I think that's an error. It should only be 5, but see if we can get the answer from... No, Simon's off in his own little world with the cans on his ears, but got a few minutes before this race gets underway. Big week of broadcasting next week, as we said, Cam, with Monday night V8s at Donington, Tuesday night. Really looking forward to the next round of the Down Under Graphics Sprint Car Summer Series. We head to Eldora from memory. Am I right, or is it Knoxville?
No, it is Eldora.
Yep, geez, good guess. I got that one right. And then we go back to Bathurst for the Oceanic Sprint Championship. And of course, CPR, Carlton Sim Parts Rallycross next Thursday. Oceanic Endurance Championship, 12 hours of Silverstone for the final round of that. Championship points given out at 6 hours and 12 hours as well. So very, very interesting format for that. And the Major Series Daytona 500. Looking forward to that one. Majors has been a phenomenally successful series already. And it's going to shape up to be an awesome series throughout. And Daytona 500 always puts on interesting racing, the Daytona 500. And we'll see a lot of drivers that are not overly confident with oval racing that may struggle a little bit. And then you'll also see some surprises that will just use that attrition rate and stay out on track and possibly pull something out magical.
Yeah, oval racing's very interesting, especially at Daytona 500, where it's all about strategy and mind games right down to that last lap, because if you want to win it, you've got to make sure that you time your moves right. Otherwise, it can end in disaster sometime.
It's a strategic game of chess for 805 kilometers. That's how long the race is. It takes about 3 to 4 hours, depending on how many safety cars there are or how many caution periods there are. But green flag pit stops are very, very entertaining. They add something very, very special to those races. So we'll see how that all plays out next weekend here on V8s Online. But we have advanced the session forward. Checkered flag is out. So we will have a 3-car field. Actually, it looks like Daniel Gow may have got into the session. Has he?
No, he hasn't.
No.
So it will be a 3-car battle.
Here we go. This is the LCQ, the final chance. Top 2 go through. And we are green for this last race. Good jump from all 3 cars, but Gardner with that inside line will get the advantage here. Crooks may be able to hold it. Get a bit of a run, but he won't be able to. So Crooks is the one in the danger position right now. Top 2 go through. Don't make it into the top 2. You are done for the night. And Gardner, as it is right now, doing more than enough, but another mistake again at the same corner. And Black almost close enough to take advantage.
He's looking very, very racy at the moment. So Reese getting very close to that wall. We have to be careful not to hit it as he goes forwards, Jokers. So he'll end up in a bit of clean air here. Oh, and Black's actually run off the road.
Simon Black now under pressure. We saw the other week he had issues with his pedals. He's got them fixed and actually used a spring out of a kitchen tap. How's that for ingenuity of machinery to get things up and running? Just break apart your kitchen tap. You can use it as a spring for your pedals and away you go again. But he's back out there with a normal set of pedals again and now has to fight to get himself into the transfer spot. Probably a little too cautious into the Joker there too. Could have been a little bit more aggressive, but big power slide coming out of the Joker and back onto the main track.
Bit of a funny landing over the jump as well. Not quite the angle you probably want to be on, but he's managed to gather it up.
He's got to be careful because that gap between he and Crooks, if Crooks can save a Joker ahead of Black come the final lap advantage having a Joker in hand is massive because you gain almost a second on your opponent just purely in the fact that you don't have to brake for that next corner. So you've got to be very, very careful of that. Gap at the moment is about 2.5 seconds. So as it is right now, Black and Crooks probably in Black's favour, but only slightly. Oh, he just clipped the tyre bundle there too, so looks like he's now getting a bit more settled. But Gardner out in front, he's just blitzing away at the moment. We know the pace that he had from that first race. Taking his second Joker now. 4 laps in, taking both. But that gap between he and Black now out to 6 seconds, and it's starting to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to that gap when Black takes his second Joker.
Crooks has taken his first Joker and has got that gap back down to 2 seconds. So, but Crooks can close it up a little bit more. We could see him right on the tail of Simon Black with a couple of laps to go. Halfway through now. Gap between first and second is 6 seconds. And I just heard Gardner, very, very unstable landing and had a little bit of a whoopsie there through that as well. Black also clipped the tyre bundle. Well, a few mistakes starting to creep in for these guys.
Yeah, possibly the pressure is starting to get to them of making that transfer through. Obviously, they've got only a handful more laps till they get that checkered flag, but the pressure will start to set in very, very shortly to make sure they don't make any more mistakes.
Much better landing this time for Gardner, and it's very, very different. Although you look at the layout on paper for this layout versus the long configuration, the first half of the lap is pretty much identical, but there is a massive difference in the middle of that sharp right-hander after the S, after the jump. It's a very, very different shaped corner with dirt and tarmac in different locations, so it behaves a lot differently from what you expect if you don't race this layout a lot.
Yeah, it's much more challenging, the longer version, obviously with the different parts where it transitions from dirt to pavement to dirt, so it's very interesting, but this shorter version is much, much more technical, so it's very hard to string a quick lap together around here, and you do have to be quite careful through that final section to make sure you don't actually hit any of the walls.
The Crooks has taken both of his Jokers now, and gap between he and Black is around about 5 seconds. So Crooks now relying on a mistake from Black, but he's just hit the tyre bundle once again. So he just now has to get a little bit more composed to Simon Black. If he does, he'll do enough to get this home. Gardner now comes up to get the white flag this time around. This will be the last lap of this 10-lap race. Reese has probably been in a little bit of a class of his own in this one. Probably didn't really deserve to find himself in the LCQ with the pace that he's had. Yeah,
he's been a bit unlucky tonight, unfortunately, but he's definitely going to be transferring through to the feature, and it'll be very good to see how he actually goes in there with the current pace that he's got tonight.
Simon Black will bring it home in second by the looks, but well done to Reese Gardner in this race. Been too good for the rest of this field. Crosses the line with around about a 5.5 second lead. Black does take his final joker in the last lap, which will close that gap back down, and Michael Crooks will be our unlucky third place finisher. That will be Michael's night done, unfortunately. Crosses the line, and we will get confirmed race results with Gardner winning by 4 seconds in the end over Black, Michael Crooks in third, and Daniel Gow in fourth position. Shaping up to be a very, very entertaining finale tonight, Cam. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of quick guys in this final race, so it's going to be all on for top honours in this final race tonight.
Yep, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes for the final race of the night. CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross Series finale for the round here at Daytona. It's not too far away.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
It's a question that's been asked more than it's been answered. How do you win the Daytona 500? This race is more than just man and machine. At Daytona, there's a secret to unlock. Now, some folks call this secret the draft, and others call it the air. But as for me, I call it the wind. And carried with that wind are the spirits of the legends and the gods of racing themselves. So, how do you win the Daytona 500? Ride the wind.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them four abreast, often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Welcome back to V8 Online's coverage of the CPR Kart and Sim Parts Rallycross series presented by Oceanic Sim Racing. It is the finale, the final race of the night. Jay Kennedy and Cameron Dance here for this final one. And Cam, it's been some pretty interesting racing the whole way through. I think whilst it's been a little bit quiet, mistakes have been amplified, and the fact that you can't make any in this series has really shown through in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a few dull moments, but it's been pretty good.
Been a few quieter moments, but I think this final is going to shape up to be an absolute action-packed one. Really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. We've got McLeod, Hartley, Albert, Black, King, Lear, Larnack, and also Gardner. 8 cars in tonight's final race. Doesn't look like Reese has got in quite yet, but I'm sure he won't be far away from jumping in the race session. Right on cue, he's in. So we'll see the full 8-car field that we have whittled ourselves down to. We started with 13. We've got ourselves down to our final 8. And the cool thing is everyone's done 2 races as well, which makes it very, very cool that you can get in regardless of your pace and actually get 2 decent quality field races.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the good thing. It's does make it a bit even, as everybody does do the same amount of laps rather than some doing more than others.
Yep, same amount of track time for everyone up to this point. Obviously, the guys that went through the LCQ have had 1 extra race, but saying that going through the LCQ is not necessarily a good thing in that you get an extra race, because the pressure on in that race is absolutely intense, because that is the one you want to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. No one likes to be in the B main or the LCQ, so if you do manage to make it through in the LCQ, then you're pretty much safe and going to be doing well in the feature.
Very much a final race with the big names that we've seen pretty much the whole way through this series. We've got Bo Albert, as we said, who's featured in pretty much every final so far. Bob King, who's won 1 round, and I think he's finished on the podium in 3. Mitch McLeod, who was involved in that very intense battle at Phoenix with Bob King, so that'll be good to watch these guys go. Scott Larnack, who's been, I think, in every final as well, and Matt Hartley, who's one that's really been an up-and-comer over the last few weeks and moved forward in every round so far. We're only 15 seconds away from qualifying, getting underway for tonight's final race. Who's your money on, Cam? Who do you think's got the pace tonight to take this one out?
I'd probably have to go with Mitch, so long as he doesn't jump the start again. Bo could possibly do it. Bob could possibly do it. Larnack could possibly do it. You can't really discount anyone in this one tonight, so it's going to be fairly close, and possibly going to see a few incidents between some of these guys as well due to how close it is.
The second round of heats, which we broadcast the middle heat, we went for the second one, and we're regretting that decision because we should have went for the first one. Mitchell McLeod and Bob King were separated by 1/10 of a second. So McLeod held on to his joker for that last lap, and that extra little bit of a run, that extra boost you get from taking it on the last lap, because you can cut that finish line off a little bit straighter, gave him the win by 1/10. If we can see something like that in the final, that would be awesome. It looks like the first car out on track will be Bob King. We'll see what time he can do. As we said before, mid 34, low 34s are the target times, and King's going to pull off before he gets to the finish line so he doesn't start another lap. That's very, very clever. And Hartley straight into the 33s, 33.9 straight off the bat. McLeod 33.5. That is quick.
Yeah, that's very quick. Apparently, it looks like Bo didn't actually get a time in on that first lap. I'm not sure if he clipped a tyre bundle or something around that area, but unfortunately he's had to do another lap, so that's one lap already gone, and he's got another two to try and make up for that first lap failure.
Yep, we'll see what he can do this time around. And you're probably right, there's a fair bit of front-end damage on that car, and possibly internet glitching as well may have been the issue for his time not registering. That time has registered with the 33.8, puts him into second position. So pressure's now on Bob King to see if he can get a good lap together. Does a very, very quick time of 33.7. Puts him into second, and then he flies into space to finish the lap off though. Scott Larnack will watch next, because he is yet to put in a lap time. He is yet to punch in a lap in this qualifying session. He's probably waited for the track to dry out a tiny little bit before he's gone out there. And that is very, very wild over the jump.
Yeah, that's not quite the most ideal line over the jump there, so he's going to go back to pit lane and try again.
Reece Gardner will go to next. This is his final chance to improve up the timesheets. His best lap is a 34.8. Will he improve? He does. Jumps 3/10. Will he jump a spot? No. 0.02 of a second behind the time of Simon Black. Scott Larnack is actually sitting in the pit still. He may be done.
Yeah, he may very well possibly, but he still does have a lap or two left in his qualifying, so here he goes.
I wonder if he had some sort of issue, because that was a strange way that he went over the jump, and then he stopped for, what, a good 2 minutes or so. So possibly some sort of issue for Larnack on that first attempt. We'll see what he can do now. Looked very, very good over the jump there.
A little bit of wheel spin there and just on the limiter there as well. So, oh, and that's the wall. That's time over, unfortunately.
He's going to have time to have another crack at it. See if he can get back out there for one more go. Interesting thing about these Rallycross races though, whilst being on pole is an advantage, being 8th, being 3rd, being 4th, being 5th, being 8th probably doesn't matter a great deal. Being in that mid-pack, if you're in the mid-pack, you're in the mid-pack. Doesn't matter which position you're in. You want to be 1st or 2nd. Other than that, I don't think it's as crucial as it is in other forms of racing.
Yeah, I don't think qualifying matters all that much in Rallycross. it usually can go a bit pear-shaped in turn 1, and as you're all heading down there about 3 wide, it's a bit of a challenge to fit 3 cars wide into turn 1, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens as Larnack comes through the final corner. What is this lap going to be from him?
34.4, and that is him done. He jumps into 6th position, and that is his qualifying run over. He probably would have had time to get one more lap in if he so chose to do so, but definitely with the way he slammed it in the wall, he was not opting to do that. And we'll run through the official starting grid for the final race of the night. Mitchell McLeod will start from pole, 0.2 of a second quicker than Bob King. 3rd position is Bo Albert, another 1/10 of a second back. Then we've got Matt Hartley next in 4th, good job from him. Ashley in 5th, Scott Larnack in 6th, then Simon Black and Reese Gardner 7th and 8th position. Come down to this, it's go time, we're ready for the final, and I cannot wait to see how this race unfolds.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely awesome race by the looks of qualifying, so buckle up because we're about to have one heck of a race on our hands.
So, waiting for, I think, 2 or 3 cars to still jump onto the grid. We've got 2 cars left to go. Cam's money's on McLeod. I'm going to go with Albert. Even though Mitch is my teammate, I think Bo might be able to do something special around the outside because there's definitely no love lost between King and McLeod after Phoenix. "15 laps ahead for tonight's final. We are waiting for the lights to come on. Then we will get this final race of the evening underway. McLeod, King and Albert all on the front row. I think we're just waiting for Lear, and there he goes and joins now. So here we go. We're going to get the lights down. We'll see if anyone jumps. Will anyone move? Hopefully not. Red
Couple of guys blinked.
Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of movement, but we are away. Hopefully it's a clean start, but a good jump from King. And he's going to get the run into turn 1. Side-by-side contact with Albert. Larnack's off the track. He's side-by-side with Albert. And Bob King has just got back ahead of Bo Albert. But have a look at the battle at the front. It is tight between King and McLeod, who leads this race.
Yeah, it is, and Simon Black's gone off there. I think that was contact with Matt Hartley in the background. And Reese Gardner's just been hit.
You get between those two. It looks like Black is done. He's pulled off to the side of the track. We're going to stay live. We'll go back to that after the race concludes. McLeod takes his joker. No surprise there. Big slide, though. Is that a little bit too committed? Has he lost too much time there?
Larnack's also taken his joker as well, so that's one for Larnack and one for McLeod now.
Yep, Larnack's jumped ahead of Hartley and Lear from that too. So not a bad move from Larnack to get himself a bit of fresh air and a bit of a clean track ahead. Now that McLeod's got that fresh air, King is under pressure from Albert. And I wouldn't be surprised if King takes a joker on this lap to try and clear Albert. But if he does, will Bo come with him? Bo takes the joker, King continues on. So Albert will jump ahead of King here. And I'm surprised with this.
McLeod.
Yeah, very, very tight. So this front 3 are going to be pretty much nose to tail once they've all done their jokers. This is going to be really tight. This may be our closest finished in this series. I feel like King will take the joker on this one. I may be wrong.
Larnack's in the fence. Lear's been taken out.
Oh no, and McLeod's just taken his second joker to get some fresh air. We will get a replay of that because that is 2 of our main players out. Larnack ran wide at the hairpin after the jump, and that started a bit of a concertina. CPR replay on screen now. Drag race between Hartley and Larnack, and Larnack's just missed the corner, and then I feel like there's an issue for Larnack. I feel like he's got some sort of malfunction because That's a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes for Larnack tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, but I've also just seen Bob King just graze one of the tie walls, the back section of the track, and it looks like he's got a bit of suspension damage due to it.
Yeah, he's actually dropped a good 2 seconds behind Albert. McLeod has taken both jokers. Albert has taken one. King yet to take any. As with Hartley, Reese Gardner now finds himself in 5th after being involved in that lap 1 shambles, I guess is the best way to describe it, because it was messy. Larnack and Black are both out of the race. So we've got 6 cars still running. And it's going to be very, very tight between McLeod and Albert, because that lap then from Albert, the first race lap in the 33s, a 33.9, McLeod a 34 flat. Albert just a slight little bit quicker, but both of these guys doing their fastest lap of the race, and they are breaking away from King.
Yeah, I think that damage with that King's got is not really helping him all that much, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that gap when Bo Albert takes his final joker too.
I'm fairly sure Albert will hold on to that final joker until the last lap. He'll be trying to get it down to about 1.5 seconds. If he can do that, it will be a drag race to the finish line and possibly will be in Albert's favour. So as it is right now, 2-second gap, I think it's slightly McLeod's favour, but that could change and it's come down to 1.8 on this lap. So Albert is on a charge. Will he be able to find enough ground to jump in with that joker?
Albert was 4 tenths quicker that last lap, so Albert is a man on a mission at the moment.
And a couple of little mistakes starting to creep in from McLeod. A little bit of damage to the front of the car too. Did land very unsettled over the jump, and I believe he's clipped the tyre bundle as well. So halfway through this race, 7.5 done, 7.5 to go. McLeod now trying to hold on from a charging Albert. This is going to be really tight.
Yeah, it's looking very, very tight. Albert's got good pace, and McLeod's batting a little bit of damage, so it's going to be all on in these final few laps, I reckon.
Gap at the moment, 1.6. If they were on the last lap and Albert was to take a joker, I feel that gap would mean that Albert would win by the smallest of margins. One little mistake from either of these two drivers could cost them a chance at this round win. This is high-stakes stuff right now. Lap for McLeod is a 34.1, a 34 flat for Albert. Sorry, 34.2. So McLeod actually come back with about 0.04 of a second, so nothing between them. But Albert's made a bit of a mistake. Has it cost him any time? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like, but he got very close to that outside wall there just before, so possibly struggling with those tyres a little bit at this stage.
Five to go. No jokers left for McLeod to do. One joker left for Albert to do. Bob King's under pressure from Matt Hartley as well, as King's just taken his second joker and Hartley's yet to take one. And King, whoa, almost flips it over the jump. King is really struggling with damage, and Hartley is in the box seat to take a podium position away right now because he still has 2 jokers to go.
Oh, King very close to hitting the wall.
Yeah, I think King's realised that his damage is too much. He's given up that spot to Hartley. We go back to the front though. 4 to go. It is down to 1.4. Another 0.3 of a second gained by Albert on that lap.
Oh, McLeod's hit the tyre bundle.
Oh, this is going to hurt McLeod. You can see how close that gap has got now.
There will definitely be damage on that car now, that's for sure. And McLeod's going to have Bo all in his mirrors, as Bo's looking like he's going to go with the joker.
No, he's decided against it.
No, sorry, I was looking at a different view.
We've got 3 to go now. McLeod has to make absolutely no mistakes. Albert has driven a flawless race as it has been. Just a little bit, oh, another mistake from McLeod. Albert's really only got shuffled out at the start of the race and lost that ground behind King at the start. Other than that, Albert has driven an almost flawless race, and McLeod really starting to get a few mistakes creeping in. Albert's going for the Joker now. This is very interesting, but it will pay off. Albert will take the race lead with 2 laps to go in this one.
Now the question is McLeod got anything left for Albert? As that gap is still fairly close. Oh, very close to the tyre bundle.
And Albert was a little bit wide there too, so this is not over. Not
long.
McLeod
almost in the tyres.
We've got 1 more lap in this race. Will Albert be able to hold on? Will McLeod be able to do something special and come through? He's got to find a full second. It is going to be tough. 1 lap to go in this race. Oh, Albert looking very, very controlled over the jump. McLeod looking a little bit ragged, as you'd expect, trying to gain as much time as he can. He has gained a little bit of time at the start of this lap, but effectively 1 corner to go. 1 more braking spot on this circuit. Oh, Albert into the tyre bundle, and he's got damage.
Oh,
he's got damage.
Oh, McLeod's going to have a go.
Oh, a little bit of a bump. Oh,
it's going to be drag. McLeod's going to get it.
Wow, what a finish to that race. McLeod actually gets the win. Gap at the line, 0.2 of a second, and I think if Albert did not hit that tyre bundle, Albert had that one. That little clip of the tyre bundle on that last lap cost Albert because he was worried about the damage. You could see that the car started to go right hand down and turning to the right very, very quickly. As soon as he hit that tyre bundle, there was a lot of damage to the front right of that car, and it was struggling. Don't know if that was a little bit of a friendly bump and run, or if that was a... Didn't realise that you were going to brake so early to slow it down. But that was a very, very interesting end to that race.
Absolutely. I don't think we just even had that in mind of possibly happening, but absolutely awesome race from Bo and Mitch, despite the possibly controversial ending there, but definitely a good race between the 2 of them.
It's 2 rounds that McLeod's been in controversial finishes. One that he's been on the positive end in regards to getting a win, and one that he's been in the negative side of at Phoenix. We'll go back to the race start though, because we do want to pick up what happened with Simon Black at the start of the race. We'll see if we can pick that up. No, we can't. Replay's not going to let me view it, is it? There we go. I've got a replay of the race start. That's always a good sign. We'll go back to this battle here between Hartley. Black run very, very wide. And then as he's come back, just come out in front of Reese Gardner. And that's what caused Black's damage. It was probably done from the jump itself as opposed to the other contact. So, race results now on screen. And final results are McLeod winning from Bo Albert in second, Matt Hartley in third, Bob King in fourth, Reese Gardner in fifth, and lap down for Lear, Larnack and Black. I don't believe we're getting anyone in for an interview tonight though, Cam. So, Cam, it's been a very, very interesting and a night that will be talked about for a long time, I feel.
Yeah, and definitely a good night. Obviously a little bit quiet in sometimes, but otherwise it was a very, very interesting night of racing, especially in that final race. So going to be very, very interesting to see what happens next week.
Yep, of course, next week we are live for multiple days. We are live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Sunday next week we are live for 17 hours. So make sure you tune in and get yourself in a nice comfy spot come next Sunday. But on behalf of the entire team at V8 Online and the team at OSR, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on Monday for the iRacing V8 Supercar Series. Till then, see you next time.